Getting started with this hobby was one of the best decisions I've ever made. From painting and playing with my own armies to meeting new friends along the way, it's been a really fun ride so far. However, with 10th edition of Warhammer just around the corner, I can see a lot of people holding off on getting started in this hobby. From concerns around buying the wrong things through to painting the wrong units and having them replaced within a couple of months, and even onto where to start in the massive expansive universe that is Warhammer 40,000. Let's take a look at why right now is the perfect time to jump into Warhammer and why you shouldn't wait. The first thing to know is Games Workshop is doing a fantastic job of hyping up 10th edition with weekly teasers. It's getting those of us who play the game on a regular basis really excited about 10th edition, but more importantly it's pulling people back into the hobby who left it a long time ago. But what are they doing with the new edition? Well, they're streamlining everything to make it much simpler to play the game, as well as giving us a lot less things to reference so we don't spend all of our time looking through codexes and rulebooks. We can just look in one place and get everything we need. In addition to simplifying things, when 10th edition does launch, all of us will be on an even footing. The strength of our armies will flatten off too, because none of us will have codexes at launch. It's going to be a really fun time to play at that stage when everybody's learning their armies at the same time. If you are going to get into Warhammer now though, before 10th edition launches, there are some things that you shouldn't waste your money on. Those things to look out for are things specific to 9th edition, like the core rules, the codexes, data cards, as well as mission packs and things like that. There are ways of finding those rules to play both the game as well as your armies, and I'll link them into the description so you don't have to buy them. The other thing that you should look out for is buying too much, and this is general advice anyway, but we all love that dopamine hit that we get when we buy new models. If you are going to go ahead and spend some money, you can't go wrong with something like a combat patrol, especially with the new game mode that will be launching, or just buying like a single unit. You should then focus on building and painting that thing and finishing it completely before buying anything else. I'd also be careful about buying too much of the same unit just to chase the meta. This is a mistake I made when I started the hobby, because I saw loads of people playing crisis suits in a tournament, so I walked away buying 5 boxes of those. By the time I built even one box, the entire meta had already shifted, and I think I built 10 of them, and I've still got 2 boxes left over that I've run out of steam to build and paint because I just don't need that many. So with all of that being said, what are some things that you should be looking to buy? Well, if you're new to the hobby, combat patrols are a really good investment, as I've already mentioned, and now is the best time to be buying them. A combat patrol is a really good way to get a feel for how an army will play without heavily investing in that army, and that's just going to get even better with 10th edition. There's a dedicated game mode where you won't even have to build a list around that combat patrol, you just play with whatever comes in the box. One thing to mention in general about buying units is most of them will still be viable. If you've just bought a box or you're looking at buying a new one, I would say don't worry about the competitiveness of it. Everything's going to change so fast with the new launch that it really won't matter what you're using. I would also say it's better to have a diverse range of units in your army to select from, rather than having a ton of overpowered units. With that in mind, it's actually a really great feeling when the meta does change and you've already got that unit painted up and ready to go so you can use it in a game. With that being said, there are some models that are being updated that we do know of. Those are the Termagants for the Tyranids, as well as Terminators for the Space Marines. So if you are looking to buy those, it may be worth waiting off just a couple of months until the new models release. Aside from those things, there will probably be a couple of products that will stop being produced when 10th edition launches. I would imagine one of those things is the starter set for 9th edition, which contains both Space Marines and Necrons. With an idea of things to avoid as well as things to pick up, what should you actually spend your time doing? One thing that's always a good use of time is building and painting your models. Especially if you're brand new to the hobby and you've picked up something like a combat patrol, those things will take you a couple of months over free evenings and maybe the occasional weekend. I've never regretted sitting and spending time on my models, because even if I'm not using them right now, it means that I'll have them ready to go if I do want to play with them. Also, if you're new to the hobby, why not check out some online communities? There are a lot of us who are really excited about 10th edition, and we'd be more than happy to welcome you with open arms. There's a link in the description to our own community at Tin Bear Studios, and I'd recommend you check out local communities too. They're often free to join and will have a lot of like-minded people who want to play games. That leads me on to my next point, that this is the best time to get people to teach you the game. In the communities I'm a part of, there are a lot of people right now that don't want to play competitive games. They're either playing casual games, but I'm sure a whole bunch of them would be happy to teach somebody new how to actually play. I'd actually say it's worth checking out local tournaments as well. It's one of the first things I actually did when I started the hobby, in that I went along and just watched a tournament, and it was such a good experience seeing full-sized games played out on such a massive scale. Now, if you enjoyed this video, check out this one next, and you can see how I got faster at painting minis when I was new to the hobby. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.